The first blessing that we have in Christ is that we were chosen. We were numbered in God to be partakers and participators of his divine essence. If you study 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 4, you see the Bible speaking about this. It said, whereby are given unto us exceeding great and precious promises, that by these we might be partakers of his divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. So the first blessing that we have in Christ is the blessing of our being numbered in him, to become partakers of his divine essence. This is actually a change of class and cadre in existence. We belong to the God class and we function in the God class, because in his sovereignty and in his benevolence, he has not numbered the donkey, he has not numbered the goats, even the spirits of all that he created. He decided to have us to be partakers of his divine nature, to be partakers of the community of the beloved. And then he went further in verse 5 to give you legitimacy to that which he has done. He said he has predestinated us unto adoption of children by Jesus Christ to himself, according to his good pleasure. So we were not just invited and given the privilege to be numbered among God. He created a legal structure for that to happen. And that structure is the structure of sonship. So he literally gave us his DNA, so that when we are in that realm, although it's a privilege that we have been called there, but it's also a right. You know, if you are in a gathering and you don't have legitimacy to be there, now by reason of providence, they can say, come and sit with us. You know, you don't have a stake on that table. Imagine if some businessmen sat on a table and they looked at you and they say, join us. Now, that you join them is a privilege, assuming we are dealing in the natural context. That you join them on that table is a privilege. And most of us have been there before. We take pictures because we know we may never be there for a long time. So we use the picture either as a memorial or to feel important. I was sitting on the table with this president. You get the scenario. So that's the first thing verse 4 told us. That God invited us to sit in the community of God, to partake with him in his class. But you see, this invitation is not just an opportunity given to you, maybe once in a lifetime, as it were. He wants you to have a legal standing there. So he moved it from a privilege to a right. And the way he made it a right was that he gave you his DNA. So now you are not just in the God class as an opportunity. You are there now with the right, a bona fide right to be there, because you are a child of God. So he said we were adopted and brought into the status of sonship. Now, if I invite somebody to my house and say, live with us for this season, or live with us from now on, the person can call my house home. But even if he's there for 10 years, it will still be a privilege, and he will be careful whatever he does. But you see, my son is not a privilege for him. The moment he gained the status of sonship, it's not just home, it's a right to be there. In fact, anything I do for him now is an obligation. So God did not just invite us into the community of the Godhead, he made us children. So he gave us the right to be there. That's why if you read John 1 from verse 10 to verse 12, the Bible said, he came into the world and the word was made by him. It said the word knew him not. Verse 11, it said he came into his own received him not. It said, but as many as received him, to them he gave the power. The word power here is exousia. To them, he gave the right or the authority to become the sons of God. So those who received him, he gave the authority, the legal right, contestable in the spirit, to become sons of God. So when we talk about the blessings we have in Christ, the first blessing is that we have been counted worthy to be numbered in the God class. But beyond that, we were not just numbered, we were given the right to be there through sonship. So when you find us relating with God, on one side is a privilege because we don't deserve it. His love necessitated it. On another side, because of God's graciousness, he made it a right for us because we are his sons. So we are there, bona fide citizens of that realm. If somebody gives you a privilege to enter here, he can kick you out. But if you are a son, it becomes difficult to be kicked out because there is now a claim for you to be there. So the second blessing, in addition to being numbered in God, is that now we are no longer strangers. We have become children of God. And you know the implication of being a child. It means God's DNA is in you. And it also means you have a stake in the realm of God. You have an inheritance in the realm of God. This is why Romans 8:17 said, if we are joined with Christ, it said, then we have become heirs and joint heirs with him. So we have a stake in the realm of God. And then God does not just bless us now because he's merciful. God does not just bless us now because he's gracious. The day he made us his children, he puts blessing us on himself as a responsibility. So God considers it now as his duty to protect you, as his duty to bless you. See, my son does not need to beg me for food. It's my duty to provide food for him. The day he took upon himself the status of a son, everything I have to do for him becomes his right and it becomes my obligation. So when we are talking about our blessings in God, these are some of the things that God has done for us that we could not have imagined, we could not have procured for ourselves, because there's nothing you have to buy it. It is God's benevolence that he does these things. So he numbered us in himself, which was so much a privilege, and then he gave us the right to be there. Maybe some of you have not dealt with people in power. You will know that to relate with people who matter, in fact, they will let you know you don't qualify. When you meet certain people, or when you approach certain people, the way they will look at you, they will send you a message. What gives you the audacity to walk up to me? What makes you feel you can stand here? In fact, they'll go there first. Move, go back. How did you come here? If you go to events, you see they write a space is for commoners. Then they have VIP. Then they have VVIP. Now they have VVVIP. So you don't go everywhere. Those of you who have gone to 5-star hotels, you can't use the elevator, sir. There are clearance levels. Because you don't access floors just because there is an elevator. You can come down from any height, but going up is a privilege. It's either you buy it or somebody who has the authority gives you his code before you go up. So it's a privilege that you can sit with God now. You are not taking picture to tell somebody I was with God yesterday. Any day, anytime, you can access his realm. That door has been opened to you. That's why he said, come boldly before the throne of grace. So it's not something you are begging or sneaking to come. By God's providence, he has made it available. So when you come also like a stakeholder. Come boldly before the throne of grace. And when you come there, we gave you a seat there. You are also a son. So you have access. Blessing number one. You have status, which is sonship. Blessing number two. Let's proceed to verse 6. If I have time to deal with these things. Access. If you have access in God's realm, hope you know, as we are seated here now, if we had a man here who have access to the minister of FCT, issues of land is no longer prayer. If we have a man that has access to the presidency, access is a serious matter. Some of us are where we are because we don't have people with access. I don't have time. Let's proceed. It said, to the praise of the glory of his grace, wherein he has made us accepted in the beloved. So we were invited, we were made sons, and we were given a stake in that realm. Verse 8. In whom we have redemption through his blood, the forgiveness of sins according to the riches of his grace.